Today we're publishing Home Truths, Cultural and Institutional Problems at the Home Office, and this is the first of two deep dives we're taking into the Home Office. The purpose of this paper is to identify and assess some of the underlying problems with the way the Home Office works, how its civil servants go about delivering services, working with ministers and with other parts of government. The Home Office has a tendency to lurch from crisis to crisis, as you see in the news every week, whether that's on small boats or policing scandals. And so we wanted to get to grips with why that was, what it is about the department that makes it lurch from crisis to crisis in that way. It's partly about the political sensitivity of its policy, but it is also about the way in which the department works. In 2020, under the leadership of Priti Patel as Home Secretary, the department launched a comprehensive improvement plan in response to the Windrush scandal to try to get to grips with some of the underlying issues that period exposed. So we wanted to understand how well the department has done since then to grapple with the issues identified by the Windrush scandal. And amid reports that Suella Braverman has watered down the department's commitment to those post-Windrush reforms, to look again and reassert the importance of grappling not just with issues in the here and now, but with longer term issues with how the department itself is operating. Well, first of all, we spoke to lots of people, current and former officials in the Home Office, in other departments, in other parts of government, as well as experts in immigration, crime and other policy areas that the Home Office plays an important role in. And then we tried to understand lots of data about how the Home Office works, its structure, its workforce, its budget and so on. And then what we tried to do was grapple with how the crises that we read about in the news every week on issues like small boats and police affect the way that the department itself operates. We found firstly that the Home Office has made some progress since its comprehensive improvement plan in 2020 that was brought about in response to the Windrush scandal, but nevertheless that these long-term problems with the way the department works are still persisting. So, for example, we found that the Home Office is still too closed to outside scrutiny and still too unwilling to engage those outside the department in the way it makes its policy. We found that workforce morale is still a problem. It has one of the lowest levels of staff engagement of any Whitehall departments, and this is affecting the way that the department works. We found that the Home Office still struggles to work collaboratively with other parts of government, and this is creating problems in policy areas such as its handling of the asylum system. Well, the first thing to say is that these are long-term problems. I mean, in the 1940s, the then Labour Home Secretary Herbert Morrison described the Home Office as having corridors paved with dynamite because of how frequently crises erupted at ministers' feet. And then more recently, John Reid in the noughties described the Home Office as not fit for purpose. So the issues we are grappling with long predate Suella Braverman. However, what we do find is that for culture change of this sort to have an effect, it requires political as well as official leadership from the Home Secretary and from senior civil servants in the department. And we argue that that political leadership of these reforms has not adequately been provided by the current Home Secretary yet. Well, this is the first of two deep dives we're taking into the Home Office, and the second, due later in the year, is going to go into a lot more detail on reforms that we recommend to address some of these underlying issues. But to begin with, we do make two specific recommendations that we argue would, rather than focusing on short-term fixes, help to improve the department's long-term performance. So firstly, we argue that to mark the 75th anniversary of the Empire Windrush arriving in the UK in June, the Home Secretary and Permanent Secretary of the Home Office should publicly recommit to the post-Windrush reform programme and set about developing a new version of its comprehensive improvement plan to act on those reforms. And secondly, we recommend that the Prime Minister should follow through on his suggestion last summer that he would commission a more fundamental review into the Home Office when he became Prime Minister. We argue that he should commission such a review into the Home Office's responsibilities over its policy areas and the way in which it works with other parts of government.